I stand in the center of my living room, taking in the soft glow of fairy lights strung across exposed brick walls I spent weeks restoring by hand. The banner I crafted from vintage wallpaper scraps catches the light. Happy birthday, Mira. Friends and family mill about, their laughter mingling with the clink of glasses and the warmth of celebration. 4 years of backbreaking renovation work transformed this space from a deteriorating shell into my dream home. Every detail, from the restored crown molding to the hand-stained hardwood floors, carries a piece of my soul. Even Nathan, my usually stoic brother, had whistled in appreciation when he first saw the finished product. A sharp knock at the door cuts through the festivities. An attendant in a crisp uniform stands rigidly in the doorway, holding an elegantly wrapped silver envelope. "Miss Harding?" His voice is clipped, professional. "This requires your immediate attention." My fingers tremble as I untie the delicate bow. The paper feels expensive, heavy with unspoken weight. As I unfold the document inside, the bold letterhead strikes like a physical blow. Notice to vacate. The room spins. 21 days. They're giving me 21 days to leave my home. I look up to find every eye in the room fixed on me. Matthew and Lillian, my parents, exchange glances loaded with something I can't or don't want torrid. Nathan's face has gone pale, his champagne glass frozen halfway to his lips. The silence spreads like poison. "What is this?" My voice comes out strangled, barely recognizable. The beautiful cake on the counter, its candle still unlit, seems to mock me with its cheerful presence. "Now, Mira, let's discuss this rationally." Sienna's voice cuts through the tension, smooth as silk and just as cold. My cousin steps forward, her designer heels clicking against the floors I spent weeks refinishing. "The market is incredibly hot right now. It would be foolish not to capitalize on such an opportunity." Capitalize? The word tastes bitter. This is my home. I've put 4 years of my life into this place. The apartment remains in Matthew and Lillian's names, Sienna continues, as if explaining something simple to a child. The financial potential is simply too significant to ignore. Memories flash through my mind like a cruel slideshow. Sienna's knowing smiles at family gatherings, Nathan's awkward silences, my parents' evasive answers about finalizing the property transfer. All those little moments I dismissed, now forming a picture I can't unsee. "You knew." I turn to my parents, my voice cracking. "You've known this was coming." Lillian wrings her hands, unable to meet my eyes. Matthew clears his throat. "It's just business, sweetheart. Nothing personal." Nothing personal. The renovation receipts in my office upstairs. The permits. The thousands of hours of work. The dreams I'd poured into every inch of this space. Nothing personal. My hands clench into fists, crumpling the notice. Tears burn behind my eyes, but I refuse to let them fall. Not here. Not in front of them. I retreat to my study, my sanctuary. Blueprints and renovation sketches cover the wall's testament to everything I've built, everything they're trying to take away. The city lights twinkle beyond the window, unchanged and uncaring. What am I going to do next? The question hangs in the air like smoke, choking but clarifying. Because deep down, I already know the answer. This isn't just about an apartment anymore. This is about justice, about truth, about family bonds twisted into weapons. And I'm done being their target. My gaze shifts to the detailed timeline pinned above my discovery permit. Every renovation milestone meticulously documented. Sienna might think she's orchestrated the perfect betrayal, but she has no idea how thoroughly I document everything. Every email, every conversation, every suspicious glance. I run my fingers along the edge of my grandmother's silver locket, drawing strength from its familiar weight. Sienna's calculated treachery ends here. I'll expose every manipulation, every lie she's whispered in my parents' ears. She thinks I'll break quietly, disappear with dignity. She's about to learn how wrong she is. My hands shake as I spread the renovation documents across my desk, each one a piece of the life I've built here. The soft glow of my desk lamp illuminates permit applications, contractor agreements, and material receipts, 4 years of dreams crystallized in paper and ink. Something catches my eye. The signature on the latest building permit doesn't match the others. I grab my phone, pulling up a photo of the original document. Stomach lurches. The dates are wrong, the new permit is backdated 3 months. But I remember filing it just 6 weeks ago. No, I mutter, diving deeper into the stack. More inconsistencies emerge. Notary stamps with mismatched dates, permit applications with subtle alterations, contract drafts that shouldn't exist. Each discovery hits like a physical blow, forming a pattern I can't ignore. The wall of evidence before me tells a story of calculated deception. Sienna hasn't just been planning this eviction, she's been orchestrating it for months, manipulating documents and falsifying permits. My cousin's perfectly manicured fingerprints are all over this betrayal. A soft knock interrupts my investigation. Nathan stands in the doorway, his tall frame casting a long shadow. His face is drawn, guilty. I've never seen my usually confident brother look so small. Can we talk? His voice cracks slightly. I gesture to the chair across from my desk, not trusting myself to speak. Nathan sits, his eyes fixed on his hands. I should have told you sooner, he begins, the words tumbling out in a rush. At Mom and Dad's anniversary party last month, I overheard something. My heart pounds as Nathan describes the scene. Sienna and Damien, CEO of Meridian Real Estate Group, tucked away in Dad's study. Their voices carried through the partially open door Sienna's smooth confidence, Damien's calculated interest. She was laying out the whole plan. Nathan continues, running a hand through his disheveled hair. Talking about market values, profit margins, quick sales. She made it sound so clinical, like she wasn't destroying someone's home, like she wasn't destroying your home. The betrayal cuts deeper with each word. And you said nothing. I convinced myself it wasn't real, Nathan whispers. That Sienna was just talking, dreaming big like she always does. But then I saw her meeting with Mom and Dad, planting doubts, playing on their fears about the market crashing. I turned back to my evidence wall, seeing it with new clarity. A pattern emerges in the email threads, each one meticulously crafted to exploit our family's weaknesses. To Dad, Sienna emphasized market volatility and lost opportunities. To Mom, she spoke of securing their retirement, playing on her lifelong financial insecurities. The timestamps paint a devastating picture. 3 months of systematic manipulation. Look at this, I say, pulling up an email chain. She's been feeding Damien information about our family finances for weeks. Guest lists from family events, renovation budgets, even Mom and Dad's retirement plans. My voice shakes with anger. She's not just selling the apartment, she's selling us out. The scale of Sienna's betrayal becomes clear as I organize the evidence. My cousin, always the perfect one, the successful one, has been orchestrating this scheme with the precision of a surgeon. And Damiani's name appears in email after email, his influence casting a long shadow over our family's future. His reputation in the real estate world makes him dangerous. His connection to Sienna makes him lethal. My phone buzzes. Elsie's name lights up the screen. She's been helping me compile evidence since the party, her background in corporate law proving invaluable. I found something, she says without preamble. Those permit alterations? They're tied to a series of property deals Damien's company pushed through last year. Same pattern, same tactics. Send everything, I tell her, already clearing space on my desk. We need. A text from an unknown number cuts me off. The message makes my blood run cold. Back off now, or you'll regret it. Some things should stay buried. Asterisk. I show Nathan the text. His face pales. Mira, maybe. Number. I cut him off. Steel in my voice. I'm done backing off. I'm done being manipulated. I reach for the bottom drawer of my filing cabinet, pulling out a folder I'd almost forgotten about. My hands steady as I open it, revealing one final piece of evidence zone that could bring Sienna's whole scheme crashing down. Nathan leans forward. What is that? I look up at my brother, a grim smile playing at my lips. That depends on how badly Sienna wants to play this game. The crystal chandeliers of the Grand Regency Hotel cast dancing shadows across polished marble as I navigate through clusters of silk dresses and tailored suits. Tonight's charity gala should be about supporting local historic preservation. Instead, my phone buzzes incessantly with notifications as Sienna's carefully crafted lies spread like wildfire across social media. I slip away from the crowd, my heels clicking against the floor, as I make my way to the private lounge. The leather chair creaks as I sink into it, pulling out my laptop. My hands tremble slightly as I log into my email, but my resolve hardens as I dig deeper into Sienna's corporate account archives. Got you, I whisper, opening a series of emails that make my blood run cold. The timestamps don't match the metadata. The permit numbers are sequential when they should be random. Every falsified document is like another knife in my back, but it's also ammunition. A notification pops up, another live stream from Sienna. Her voice flows smooth as honey through my earbuds. Of course, we're deeply concerned about the structural integrity of the renovations. The safety of our community must come first. My fingers curl into fists. The renovation permits are spotless. I spent months ensuring every detail was perfect. But there it is on the screen. Doctored inspection reports casting shadows on my work, carefully leaked to maximize damage. The recording I discover next nearly stops my heart. Sienna's voice crisp and clear. The property values in that neighborhood are about to skyrocket, Damien. Once we force a quick sale, the returns will be astronomical. A male voice, Damien, chuckles in response. Your cousin won't know what hit her. I sit back, my mind racing. The gala continues beyond the lounge doors, a symphony of clinking glasses and polite laughter. Sienna is out there right now, probably working the room with that practiced smile. Every handshake, every air kiss is another thread in her web of manipulation. The next evening, the Bellevue Manor dining room breathes old money. Crystal stemware catches the light, white tablecloths gleam immaculate. The perfect stage for what comes next. I wait until the main course arrives, then stand, my chair scraping against hardwood. I have something to share. My voice carries across the table. Sienna's fork pauses halfway to her lips. I have copies of every email you've sent regarding my property. My hands shake, but my voice stays steady, including the ones where you discuss falsifying inspection reports with Damien. The silence is absolute. Sienna's practiced smile doesn't waver, but her knuckles whiten around her fork. Mira, darling, you're making a scene. Perhaps we should discuss this privately. Like you discussed my eviction privately? I pull out my phone, clicking play. Sienna's voice fills the room. The property values in that neighborhood are about to skyrocket. The color drains from her face. That's enough. Sienna's voice cracks like a whip. You're clearly unstable. Number. The word comes from behind me. I turn to see Nathan standing, his dinner napkin crumpled in his fist. She's not unstable. I heard you, Sienna. That day in your office with Damien. I heard everything. Elsie rises next, her eyes blazing. I have copies of the original permits, every inspection report. Would you like me to show everyone here the difference between Mira's actual renovation documentation and your creative edits? Something shifts in the room. A current of whispers, the rustle of silk as people lean forward. I feel it in my bones, the moment when truth begins to outweigh lies. Sienna's mask slips for just a second, revealing the calculation beneath. I retreat to my study later that night, surrounded by the evidence of years of work. Blue permits line the walls, each one a testament to dreams built brick by brick. The city sparkles beyond my window. My city, my home, my truth. I reach for my grandmother's locket, its silver warm against my palm. The weight of it grounds me as I begin methodically organizing the evidence. Each document goes into a color-coded folder, each digital file uploaded to secure cloud storage. My attorney Jonathan's business card sits on my desk, his reputation for handling fraud cases exactly what I need. My phone buzzes, a message from Samantha Clark, the journalist who's been following the local real estate market for years. Another from Gregory Holt, the community board president. Allies gathering, drawn to the scent of corruption exposed. The last piece falls into place when Uncle Robert calls. His voice is heavy with guilt. Sienna's been working on this for months, Mira. We should have seen it sooner. Should have said something. I hang up and stare at the final file on my desktop. The recording I haven't shared yet. The one that captures Sienna and Damien in an unguarded moment, spelling out their entire scheme. My secret weapon, waiting for the perfect moment. Tomorrow is the town hall meeting. Tomorrow, everything changes. The question isn't whether I'm ready. The question is, are they? The town hall buzzes with tension. Every seat is filled. Residents, investors, reporters clutching notepads. Camera phones point toward the podium like accusing fingers. The utilitarian space is a far cry from Sienna's carefully curated galas, but power feels different here. Raw, real. My laptop connects to the projector with a soft click. The screen behind me illuminates, blank and waiting. In my pocket, the flash drive feels heavy with truth. Thank you all for coming. My voice carries across the room, steady despite the pounding of my heart. I'm here to share some information about the proposed development deal for Highland Avenue. Sienna shifts in her seat in the third row, her designer suit stark against the metal folding chairs. Damien sits beside her, his usual smooth confidence showing hairline cracks. I pull up the first document. These are the original renovation permits. My fingers move to open the video file, the recording that will shatter their carefully constructed lies. The screen flickers, goes black. Murmurs ripple through the crowd. Someone coughs. I feel sweat trickle down my spine as I click frantically, trying to restore the connection. Technical difficulties? Sienna's voice drips with fake sympathy. Perhaps we should move on to the number. I straighten my shoulders, meeting her gaze directly. We're going to see this through. Every last second of it. The truth doesn't need perfect timing. It just needs to be heard. The screen flickers back to life. The rosewood banquet hall glitters with false promises. Crystal chandeliers cast rainbow prisms across the champagne flutes and designer dresses of Silicon Valley's elite. My heels sink into thick carpet as I make my way through the crowd, each step measured, deliberate. This engagement party Sienna and Damien's crowning achievement is about to become their undoing. I catch my reflection in a gilded mirror, structured black blazer, hair swept into an elegant chignon, grandmother's silver locket gleaming at my throat. My hands don't shake as I pull out my phone and send the signal to Elsie. 3 quick taps. Showtime. The projector screen descends silently behind the stage where Sienna stands delivering her speech, her voice dripping with practiced charm. Damien and I are so blessed to have such wonderful family and friends. Her words fade as the first document appears on screen. My original renovation permits, dated and notarized, followed by her forged versions. The differences are stark, damning. Murmurs ripple through the crowd. Sienna's voice falters as she spots the projection. Her champagne glass trembles, catching the light like a crystallized warning. I think, I say, my voice carrying across the sudden hush, we should discuss the real estate deal you've been orchestrating. I step onto the stage, each click of my heels against hardwood a punctuation mark. Specifically, how you forged documents to steal my home. Sienna's perfectly lined lips part in shock. Mira, this is hardly the time. Actually, it's exactly the time. I pull out my phone again, and the recording fills the banquet hall. Sienna's voice, clear and cold, discussing the fraudulent sale with Damien. Their words echo off marble floors and crystal stems. Once we get rid of her, the property's ours. Investors shift uncomfortably in their seats. I spot Mrs. Chen, one of our biggest backers, leaning forward with narrowed eyes. 2 real estate developers exchange worried glances. The truth spreads like wine across white carpet. It's impossible to ignore, impossible to hide. This is absurd. Sienna sputters, her composure cracking. Mira is clearly unstable. She's always been jealous of my success, my relationship with Damien. The documents speak for themselves. I cut in, gesturing to the screen, where proof of her deception continues to scroll. Every forged permit, every manipulated contract, every secret meeting, all meticulously documented. These are obviously fabricated. Sienna snaps, but her voice has lost its silk. She turns to the crowd, desperation bleeding through her perfect makeup. You all know me. I would never. I can verify these documents. Nathan's voice rings out as he stands, tablet in hand. My brother's face is pale but determined. I have the original email threads right here. Elsie steps forward next, her own evidence ready. I have the notary's sworn statement confirming these signatures were forged. The room erupts in whispers. Damien, I notice, has gone very still, his knuckles white around his champagne flute. The grand romance of the evening sours as reality sets in. Their perfect facade is crumbling, one exposed lie at a time. Sienna makes one last attempt to salvage her reputation. This is nothing but a vindictive display from a failed designer who has proof of everything. I finish for her. I pull out a final folder slim, elegant, devastating, including evidence of something much bigger than a simple property grab. The folder's contents spill across the projection screen, documents linking Sienna and Damien to a wider web of real estate fraud, each connection more damning than the last. The silence that follows is absolute. Even the crystal chandeliers seem to hold their breath. The question isn't just about one stolen home anymore, is it? I ask, my voice carrying to every corner of the suddenly airless room. It's about how deep this deception really goes, and who else might be involved. I lock eyes with the assembled investors, the influential family members, the real estate moguls who came to celebrate love, but found fraud instead. Their faces reflect varying degrees of shock, anger, and dawning realization. Some already have their phones out, no doubt calling their lawyers. In the end, it's Mrs. Chen who breaks the silence. I believe, she says, rising from her seat with elegant dignity, we all need to reevaluate our business relationships. Her words fall like a judge's gavel in the stunned quiet. I step back from the microphone, my part done. The evidence speaks for itself now, spreading through the crowd like wildfire. As chaos erupts around me, Damien arguing with his lawyer in harsh whispers, investors demanding explanations, family members choosing sides, I catch my reflection again in that gilded mirror. The woman staring back at me isn't broken anymore. She's brilliant, fierce, unstoppable. But there's more to come. As I scan the documents one final time, names jump out at me: corporations, shell companies, a web of connections far beyond Sienna and Damien. This isn't just about my apartment. It's about an entire network of property fraud, stretching across the city like a spider's web. Damien's face has lost all color as he stares at the screen, no doubt recognizing the implications. His perfect posture crumbles as he loosens his tie, eyes darting between the exits. He knows as well as I do this exposure threatens not just his engagement, but the entire carefully constructed empire he and his corporate partners have built. I step back to the microphone one last time. When faced with betrayal, I say, my voice clear and steady, do we stay silent to keep the peace, or do we expose the truth no matter the cost? The question hangs in the air like crystal chimes, a challenge to everyone present. In the tense silence that follows, I catch fragments of whispered conversations. How deep does this go? Who else is involved? What other properties? And I'm just beginning. I grip the edges of the podium at the Langston Convention Center, my knuckles white against the polished wood. The crowd before me ripples with tension faces I've known my whole life, now twisted with uncertainty. Sienna stands at the back, her designer heels planted firmly on marble floors, megaphone raised like a weapon. My legal team from Harrison and Yale will be filing immediate action, she announces, her voice amplified and distorted. Anyone supporting Mira's fraudulent claims will face severe consequences. My tablet chimes with notifications, dozens of them. On the screen, doctored images flood social media, receipts with altered dates, permits with fabricated signatures. My renovation project, my 4 years of work, painted as a web of deception. Sienna's PR team works fast, flooding every platform with their carefully crafted lies. The evidence clearly shows systematic fraud. Sienna continues, her voice echoing through the megaphone. Years of financial mismanagement and permit violations. She gestures to the screen behind her, where manipulated video clips play on loop moments from renovation updates, twisted and edited to support her narrative. Independent media representatives huddle over laptops, their faces illuminated by screens as they fact-check in real time. The first whispers of doubt ripple through the crowd. I catch fragments of conversation. The timestamps don't match. These signatures. But I work faster. Speaking of fraud, I say into the microphone, my voice steady despite the thunder of my heart, let's talk about evidence. I tap my tablet, and the convention center's massive display screen flickers to life. The first email appears Sienna's message to Damien, timestamp clear as crystal. Once we force the sale, the profit margins will be astronomical. Mira's too naive to fight back. Murmurs ripple through the crowd. Sienna's megaphone wavers. With methodical precision, I work through my presentation. Each piece of evidence lands like a physical blow. Here's the original permit application, and here another swipe is Sienna's forged version. Note the identical signature, pixel for pixel. Forgery software leaves traces, cousin. The crowd shifts closer to the screen. A journalist in the front row types furiously on her laptop. I catch Nathan's eye and the audience nods, almost imperceptibly. Behind him, influential investors lean forward, their expressions hardening as the truth unfolds. This is absurd, Sienna snaps, but her voice cracks. Those documents are clearly time-stamped and notarized. I pull my grandmother's locket from beneath my blazer, clicking it open to reveal a tiny USB drive, including the audio recording from your meeting with Damien last week, the one where you outlined the entire scheme. The megaphone slips from Sienna's fingers, clattering against marble. The sound echoes through suddenly still air. I reach into my pocket and withdraw a single business card, crisp white against my dark sleeve. The logo gleams. Jonathan Reed Law Offices. With deliberate slowness, I hold it up for the crowd to see, then let it fall. It lands face up on the podium, a declaration of war in letterhead. The power in the room shifts like a physical current. Where Sienna once commanded attention, she now stands isolated. Damien steps away from her, his phone already at his ear. Even from here, I catch fragments. Withdraw immediately. Reputation risk can't be associated. The formal lawsuit will be filed today, I announce. Anyone involved in this conspiracy has 24 hours to come forward voluntarily. After that, I let the silence hang, heavy with promise. Long-standing family members who once wavered now step forward. Uncle Marcus, his voice carrying across the room. This manipulation ends now. Aunt Helen, typically reserved, adds her public denouncement. Each declaration lands like another nail in the coffin of Sienna's scheme. The convention center erupts in controlled chaos. Investors pull out phones. Family members cluster in urgent discussion. But I keep my eyes on Sienna as her carefully constructed world crumbles. Her face drains of color as her most powerful allies, family friends, business partners, even her PR team begin to distance themselves, creating a visible void around her. In the aftermath, I stand alone in the now hushed convention center. My hands move mechanically, gathering evidence files and storing backup drives. Each document represents a piece of my life I've had to fight to protect. The renovation receipts, the permit applications. 4 years of dreams defended through sheer force of will. The quiet feels heavy, meaningful. I settle into a corner chair, allowing myself a moment to absorb the magnitude of what's just happened. My reflection in the darkened windows shows someone changed harder, perhaps, but unbroken. That's when I see it. Buried beneath the chaos of the past few weeks, a new email catches my eye. The sender, an anonymous corporate whistleblower. The subject line makes my breath catch. Sienna's scheme, just the tip of the iceberg. I stare at the words, my mind racing. The email suggests a pattern of corruption extending far beyond my apartment, beyond Sienna and Damien. A network of real estate fraud that could shake the entire market. The convention center's lights dim, signaling the end of the event. But for me, this feels less like an ending and more like a prelude. I close my tablet, the whistleblower's email burning in my thoughts. Some people say revenge is best served cold, but I've learned it's best served with irrefutable evidence and perfect timing. What do you think is the most satisfying part of seeing a villain brought to justice? Would you ever risk everything to expose the truth? Morning light streams through the expansive windows of my living room, casting long shadows across the restored hardwood floors. I pause in the center of the space, letting my fingers trail along the smooth grain of wood I'd spent countless weekends sanding and staining. Each board tells a story not just of renovation, but of reclamation. The soft glow catches the brass handles of my grandmother's antique sideboard, now proudly displayed against the exposed brick wall I'd painstakingly restored. My reflection fragments across its polished surface, a woman transformed, standing taller, eyes bright with hard-won wisdom. I moved to adjust a frame on the wall of photograph from that fateful night at Langston Convention Center. Sienna's engagement party. The night everything changed. In the image, crystal chandeliers cast fractured light across shocked faces as I stood at the podium, evidence in hand. The memory still bites, but the pain has mellowed into something else. Something stronger. Nathan appears in the doorway, his presence a quiet comfort rather than the source of tension it once was. "Coffee's ready," he says, holding out a steaming mug. The easy gesture speaks volumes about how far we've come. He takes in the photograph, his expression thoughtful. Sometimes I still can't believe how it all played out. Neither can I. I accept the coffee, breathing in its rich aroma. But every step led us here. The doorbell chimes, and I welcome my guests, the ones who stood by me when everything fell apart. Elsie arrives first, her warm embrace as fierce as ever. Jordan follows, his shoulders still tight with the weight of his own workplace betrayal. Others filter in, friends, family members who chose truth over manipulation, allies who helped expose the corruption that had poisoned my family for so long. We gather in the dining area, where laughter and genuine conversation have replaced the hollow pleasantries of the past. Soft jazz plays from the vintage record Player Another restoration project that proved more rewarding than expected. The music mingles with the clinking of glasses and honest conversation, creating a symphony of healing. I find Jordan by the window, his gaze distant. "How are you holding up?" I ask, recognizing the look of someone wrestling with betrayal's bitter taste. "Some days are harder than others," he admits. "The legal team says we have a strong case, but..." He trails off, fingers tapping nervously against his glass. "But you're worried about the personal cost," I finish. "The sleepless nights, the constant second-guessing." I lean against the windowsill, choosing my words carefully. When Sienna first orchestrated my eviction, I thought I'd never trust anyone again. But here's what I learned. Exposing the truth doesn't just protect you, it protects everyone they might have hurt next. Jordan's shoulders relaxed slightly. How did you stay so focused? Keep fighting when it felt impossible. I documented everything. I explain. Every conversation, every email, every suspicious glance. Build your case like you're constructing a house solid foundation first. Then add each piece with purpose. And most importantly, I meet his eyes. Remember, you're not alone. The gathering continues into early evening, but eventually I find myself alone on the balcony. The sun breaks over the horizon, painting the sky in shades of promise. Below, the city awakens, unaware that its skyline now represents something different, to me not a reminder of what I almost lost, but a testament to what I've gained. I pull out my tablet, fingers flying across the screen as I refine my latest project, a community initiative to protect others from similar exploitation. The program will offer legal resources, documentation strategies, and most importantly, a network of support for those facing institutional betrayal. The sunrise bathes my face in warmth as memories flash through my mind. The day I received the eviction notice, the night I discovered Sienna's manipulation, the moment I finally exposed the truth to everyone at her engagement party. Each memory strengthens my resolve. This apartment, once a battlefield of family loyalty versus justice, now serves as command central for something bigger than myself. I lean against the railing, feeling the solid metal beneath my palms. The city stretches before me, full of stories waiting to be rewritten, wrongs waiting to be righted. My own story has shifted from victim to victor, but it's not the end. It's a beginning of sunrise breaking through the longest night, illuminating the path forward for others who might follow. This is my new purpose, my true renovation project. And this time, I'm building something that can never be taken away. How do you think overcoming betrayal can change a person's life? Share your thoughts and any similar experiences in the comments below.
I sit in my car, outside my parents' brick colonial, rehearsing words I shouldn't have to say. The engine ticks as it cools, and I catch my reflection in the rearview dark circles under my eyes, hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. Behind me, cardboard boxes and garbage bags crowd the back seat, my life reduced to whatever would fit. 2 weeks since the layoff, 3 days until my lease ends. One last chance. My stomach knots as I approach the door, the same tension I felt since childhood whenever I needed something from them. I ring the bell and wait, shifting my weight from one foot to the other. When Mom opens the door, her face shifts from surprise to that familiar look, the one that says, "I'm an interruption," rather than a daughter. "Nicole, we weren't expecting you." Her gaze darts past me to my packed car in the driveway. "I know. Can I come in? I need to talk to you and Dad." She hesitates just long enough to make it clear I'm not welcome before stepping aside. "Of course, honey." Dad sits in his recliner, eyes fixed on a football game. He barely glances up. "Nicole's here," Mom announces as if delivering news of an unexpected bill. I can see that. He mutes the television, but doesn't turn it off. "What's going on?" I take a deep breath. I lost my job. Departments are getting gutted everywhere with the pandemic. My lease is up in 3 days, and "You need money," Dad interrupts, his jaw tightening. "No," I stand straighter. "I have my RV from when I was doing remote work last year. I just need a place to park it for a while. Your driveway has plenty of room, and I'd be completely self-contained. Just until I find another job." The silence stretches between us. Mom glances at Dad. "There's no room," he finally says. "Brian's cars are already taking up space." "Of course, Brian, my younger brother who can do no wrong." "Your cars take up half the driveway," I point out. "Brian's 2 cars take the other half. The RV would fit along the side where no one parks anyway." Mom touches my arm, her face arranged in what she thinks is sympathy. "We just don't think it's a good idea, Nicole. You understand, don't you? We're stretched thin ourselves with Brian's family staying here." The front door opens before I can respond. Brian and Jessica stride in like they own the place, which, in a way, they do. My brother's eyes widen when he sees me, then narrow. Well, look who's here." He exchanges a glance with Jessica, who smirks. "I told you she'd end up a homeless loser," Jessica whispers, just loud enough for me to hear. Heat rushes to my face. "I'm not homeless. I have my RV. I just need—" "We're not running a campground," Dad cuts in. Through the living room doorway, I spot Brian's new gaming setup, a massive curved monitor, glowing keyboard, high-end desktop. The same setup he'd been posting about on social media last week. You bought Brian a $3,000 gaming computer, but you can't let me park in your driveway? The words escape before I can stop them. Dad's face hardens. That's different. We're helping him and his family get back on their feet. They've been living here rent-free for 2 years. Jessica's 3 kids thunder down the stairs, screaming as they chase each other through the house, the same house my parents claim has no space. Not everyone loses their job during a crisis, Brian says, folding his arms. Some of us are essential. Essential. Right. His job stocking grocery shelves 3 nights a week while Jessica stays home with the kids and my parents cover their bills. Please, I try one last time, looking from mom to dad. I just need a safe place to park. That's all I'm asking. Dad stands, signaling the conversation is over. Figure it out like an adult, Nicole. That's what the rest of us do. The rest of us. As if I'm not part of the family. As if I never was. I walk to my car with surprising calm, a strange stillness settling over me. I'm not even angry anymore, just clear. Clear about where I stand with them. Clear about what I need to do. In the driver's seat, I pull out my phone and call the one friend who might help. Melissa, it's Nicole. Remember when you said I could park at your place in an emergency? I pause, listening to her immediate offer of help. Thanks, I'll be there in 20. As I drive away from my parents' house, I make a silent vow. This is the last time I'll ever ask them for anything. The last time I'll make myself small enough to fit their version of family. I will survive this without them, and someday they'll realize exactly what they threw away. The fluorescent lights of Walmart flicker above my RV, casting strange shadows across my ceiling. It's 3:17 a.m. our time, I know intimately now. Sleep comes in fragmented pieces when you're constantly alert for security patrols or someone testing your door handle. 3 weeks since Melissa's driveway became too risky. Her HOA started asking questions. Now I rotate between different store parking lots, never staying more than 2 nights in the same spot. Tonight's symphony, shopping carts rattling across asphalt, distant car alarms, the occasional shout from late-night revelers. I've learned to sleep through most of it. My phone battery shows 42%, enough to last until morning when I can recharge at the library. Water tank is at quarter capacity. I've gotten my morning routine down to using less than 2 gallons, a skill no one lists on resumes. Winter is coming. I can feel it in the metal walls that grow colder each night. The propane heater burns through fuel faster than I can afford to replace it. Last night, I slept in 2 sweatshirts and my winter coat, breath clouding above my sleeping bag. I shift uncomfortably on the narrow bed, mentally calculating $316 in my checking account, phone bill due in 5 days, gas tank hovering near empty, gym membership payment, my ticket to daily showers coming up next week. People don't tell you how expensive it is to be homeless. We're looking for someone with more recent experience. I force a smile at my laptop screen where the interviewer's face has already begun to disconnect from our call. 7th rejection this month. All variations on the same theme. Always polite, always final. My makeshift workspace barely fits on the RV's fold-down table. The coffee shop Wi-Fi cuts out every 20 minutes, forcing me to order another $2 coffee I can't afford just to stay connected. The barista's eyes flick toward Mesh. Knows I've been here 4 hours. Knows I'll be back tomorrow. My phone buzzes with a gig alert. Some family needs grocery delivery by 3 p.m. The pay barely covers the gas, but I tap accept before someone else claims it. Between virtual assistant tasks, food deliveries, and overnight stocking shifts at the grocery store 3 miles away, I'm piecing together almost enough to survive. Almost. The gym locker room has become my second home. I time my showers for the quiet mid-morning lull when no one's around to notice me washing my underwear in the sink, wringing it out carefully before tucking it into my backpack. The lady at the front desk gives me a strange look when I leave without working out. Again. Tonight, I'll park behind the abandoned strip mall where security cameras don't reach. The neighboring restaurant tosses day-old bread into their dumpster after closing. I've gotten good at timing my arrivals. I've gotten good at a lot of things I never wanted to learn. The sound comes first, metal scraping metal thin. A shadow passes across my window. I freeze in bed, heart slamming against my ribs. Someone's trying the door handle. 2 a.m. and I'm alone in an empty corner of a truck stop parking lot. The shadow shifts. and I see the outline of a man's shoulders, the glint of something metal in his hand. My phone sits across the RV, plugged into the single working outlet. The baseball bat I bought at a thrift store is under my bed, just out of reach. If I move, he'll hear me. The door handle rattles harder. My lungs burn from holding my breath. Who would I even call? Not my family, not the police who just tell me to move along. No one is coming to save me. A car horn blares somewhere nearby. The shadow jerks, then disappears. Headlights sweep across my windows as a semi-truck pulls into a nearby spot. I finally gasp for air, shaking so hard my teeth chatter. When morning comes, I drive to the hardware store and spend $40 I can't spare on door reinforcements, window locks, and a personal alarm that shrieks at 130 decibels. That night, I run a piece of fishing line from the door handle to a stack of metal pans. My own security system. I don't sleep. You're the RV lady, right? I look up from my laptop to find another woman about my age standing beside my table at the library. She has the same look I recognize from my own mirror, the careful grooming that can't quite hide the exhaustion, the slightly too worn clothes. I'm in the blue Subaru, she continues, voice low. 3 spots down from you last night. I nod cautiously. She slides a piece of paper across the table. There's a place off Route 16 where a group of us park. Abandoned lot behind the old factory. Owner doesn't care as long as we don't make trouble. Someone's always around, so it's safer. I stare at the hastily drawn map. We look out for each other, she adds. And Gary has a generator he shares. That night, I follow her directions to find 6 vehicles, 3 RVs smaller than mine, 2 vans, and her Subaru arranged in a loose circle like a modern-day wagon train. A gray-haired man waves as I pull in. For the first time in months, I sleep through the night. My laptop screen glows in the darkness as I finish another online certification course. 3 a.m., and I'm wired on cheap coffee, absorbing information about cloud security protocols. The IT world has shifted during my unemployment. Adapt or die. During the day, I've been helping Tina from the Subaru build a website for her handmade jewelry. She can't pay me, but she brings me dinner sometimes. Last week, I fixed Gary's satellite dish. He gave me a full tank of water in return. The small transfers appearing in my account from random virtual assistant gigs are adding up. Not enough to rent an apartment, but enough to stop the freefall. I've created profiles on 17 freelance sites, offering everything from data entry to basic coding. My phone pings with an email alert. I almost ignore it, probably another rejection, but something makes me check. We'd like to invite you for a second interview. The message blurs as my eyes fill with tears. It's for a remote position with a startup less money than my old job, but steady income, real work in my field. 2 days later, I sit in my RV wearing my one unwrinkled blouse, the laptop perfectly positioned to hide my surroundings. The interview goes well. So well that the team leader says, "We'd like to make you an offer." When I hang up, I press my hand against my mouth to stifle the sound that rises half laugh, half sob. The job starts next month. Steady paycheck. Benefits. I step outside my RV, looking up at the vast night sky. The same stars my parents can see from their comfortable home. The same moon that shines on my brother's family in their borrowed bedrooms. They think they broke me. They have no idea how strong I've become. I update my spreadsheet with today's numbers, the glow of my laptop illuminating my face and the pre-dawn darkness of my RV. The cells populate with formulas I've refined over 18 months, calculating exactly how close I am to my goal. My savings account balance blinks on my phone screen, $27,842.16. The down payment column finally turns green. My hands tremble as I close the spreadsheet and save it to my meticulously organized financial folder. I've tracked every penny since that day I drove away from my parents' house, determined to never again be at anyone's mercy. Now, the numbers don't lie. I've made it. I allow myself 5 minutes to cry, just 5, before washing my face and preparing for my morning meetings. I've learned to partition my emotions the same way I partition my hard drive. Neatly contained, accessible when needed, never interfering with system functionality. Are you sure you want to go alone? Melissa asks over the phone. She's been my one constant since letting me park in her driveway those first desperate weeks. I can move my afternoon clients. I'm good. I navigate through traffic, GPS guiding me to the real estate agent's office. This is something I need to do myself. I don't add that it feels important to sit across from the agent as just not part of a couple, not with a parent as co-signer. Just Nicole Winters, the woman who lived in an RV through a pandemic and came out stronger. Agent Diane raises her eyebrows when I tell her my price range and that I'm looking on my own. First-time buyer? Her eyes drift to my simple clothing, making calculations. Yes, I hand her a folder containing my pre-approval letter, credit report, and bank statements. I've been saving for this specifically. She thumbs through the documents, her expression shifting from polite interest to surprise. Your credit score is excellent, especially for someone your age. I've been careful. I don't mention how I paid every bill on time, even while showering at a gym and working odd jobs. How I refuse to let hardship become an excuse for financial carelessness. Well then, she says, closing the folder, let's find you a house. I toured 12 houses in 2 weeks. Each one I evaluate with the same methodical approach I use for debugging code, identifying problems, assessing functionality, considering future maintenance issues. I check water pressure, inspect electrical panels, and stand silently in empty rooms calculating sun angles and utility costs. I'm checking the foundation of a small 2-bedroom ranch when I feel the inexplicable certainty programmers sometimes get when they finally solve a complex problem. This ordinary house, with its worn kitchen counters and outdated bathroom, somehow feels like the answer to an equation I've been solving for nearly 2 years. The sellers are motivated, Diane says, mistaking my silence for hesitation. There's room to negotiate. I'll take it, I interrupt, still staring at the solid basement walls. Full asking price if they can close in 30 days. Diane blinks. Don't you want to think? I've done my thinking. I turn to her with the calm certainty that's carried me through the past 18 months. This is it. The closing table feels surreal. I sign document after document, my signature becoming steadier with each page. The seller's agent makes small talk about interest rates, while my mind catalogs every moment that led here. Shivering nights in Walmart parking lots, early mornings at coffee shop doors, waiting for Wi-Fi access. The spreadsheet updated daily like a prayer. When the title company representative slides the keys across the table, I have to force myself to breathe. They're heavier than I expected, these small pieces of metal that represent security no one can take from me. Congratulations, Miss Winters, she says. The house is yours. Mine, a word I've been afraid to attach to anything since watching my belongings crammed into garbage bags and cardboard boxes as my lease ended. I drive to my house, with the windows down, letting the September air wash over me. I park in the driveway and just sit, staring at the modest structure with its faded blue paint and concrete steps. Inside, my footsteps echo against bare floors. The sellers have taken everything, leaving only clean emptiness. I walk from room to room, my fingertips trailing along walls that belong to me now. In the master bedroom, I unroll the sleeping bag I've used for hundreds of nights and lay it in the center of the floor. I could afford an air mattress or even rush order a real bed, but there's something right about this one last night. I've chosen minimalism before I begin building again. I lie back on the thin padding, staring at the ceiling. I did it. I whispered to no one. Over the next 3 weeks, I transform the empty shell into something mine. I assemble furniture piece by piece in the evenings after work, following instructions with the same precision I applied to coding. A desk for my home office, a proper bed, a dining table where I can sit without hunching over a steering wheel. Each purchase is calculated, each assembly deliberate. No impulse buys, no excess, just what I need to function efficiently and gradually comfortably. The home office takes priority. I install the fastest internet available and set up dual monitors on a standing desk. This room represents everything I fought for, the career I salvaged, the independence I've earned. I run my hands over the smooth desk surface, remembering the makeshift workspace balanced on my RV's fold-down table. When Melissa and my small circle of friends come for a casual housewarming, they bring practical gifts, kitchen tools, towels, a set of wine glasses, people who understand what it means to build from nothing. To Nicole, Melissa toasts, raising her glass in my freshly painted living room, who never needed saving just a parking spot. We laugh, and I feel a lightness that has nothing to do with the wine. These people saw me at my lowest and still recognized my strength. They never once suggested I call my family. My family. I haven't spoken their names in over a year. The post takes me 3 hours to compose, though it's only 2 sentences long. I delete and rewrite it a dozen times before settling on something that feels honest without revealing too much. After 18 months of living in my RV, I'm finally a homeowner. Here's to new beginnings. I attach a single photo, me, standing on my front steps, keys visible in my hand. The house visible but not prominently featured, just enough context to tell the story without giving details. I hesitate before hitting post, my thumb hovering over the screen. Part of me wants to keep this victory private, untainted by the outside world. But a stronger part wants to claim this achievement publicly, to make it real by declaring it. The comments appear almost immediately. Colleagues from my new job, friends from before, fellow nomads I met during my RV days. Congratulations and celebration emojis flood my notifications. I'm about to put my phone away when I see it. A single like from my cousin Erin, my mother's niece. I stare at her name, feeling a strange ripple of unease. We haven't spoken since before my life fell apart. For 18 months, I've existed outside my family's awareness, neither seeking their approval nor their involvement. This tiny digital interaction, this single thumb, pressed to a screen miles away, suddenly makes me feel visible in a way I haven't been since driving away from their house. I power off my phone and walk through my house, checking each lock twice. In my bedroom, I sit on the edge of my new mattress, the one I researched for weeks to find the perfect balance of comfort and support. It doesn't matter, I tell myself firmly. None of them matter anymore. But as I lie in bed staring at the ceiling, I can't shake the feeling that something has shifted. Like I've sent a signal flare into the night sky, unwittingly revealing my position after months of careful invisibility. I tell myself I'm being paranoid, that a like means nothing, that even if my family sees my post, they've made it abundantly clear they want nothing to do with me. What I don't yet understand is that success is far more threatening to people like them than failure ever was. The doorbell shatters my Sunday morning peace. Not a polite ring, but an aggressive finger on the button assault that makes my coffee mug rattle against the kitchen table. No one visits me unannounced. That's the entire point of having my own house controlling who crosses the threshold and when. When I pull open the front door, my stomach drops as if I've missed a step in the dark. My entire family stands clustered on my porch, like some bizarre holiday portrait dad's jaw set in determination. Mom clutching her purse with white knuckles, Brian with his arm around Jessica. Their 3 children fidgeting in front like restless props. Surprise, Mom says, her smile not reaching her eyes. Nearly 2 years since they left me homeless, standing in their driveway with my belongings packed behind me. 2 years without a call, a text, an apology. Before I can respond, they surge forward as a unit. Dad brushes past me, his shoulder knocking mine. Mom pats my arm as if I'm a piece of furniture she's navigating around. The children scatter like marbles dropped on hardwood. Nice little place you've got, Dad says, already halfway down my hallway. They spread through my house with the precision of an invading army, each taking territory with their bodies and belongings. Jessica drops her oversized purse on my couch as if claiming it. Brian sets a backpack on my dining table. Mom's coat lands across my reading chair. I stand frozen by the still open door, watching as Dad stalks from room to room, his footsteps heavy on the floors I've scrubbed and polished myself. Lot of wasted space in here, he calls from my spare bedroom. Could easily fit bunk beds in this room. In the kitchen, Mom opens and closes my cabinets, fingertips trailing across my organized spice rack and carefully stacked dishes. Too much storage for just one person? She announces to no one in particular. I follow the sound of measuring tape snapping against itself to find Brian in my bedroom, extending a metal ruler across my walls. He doesn't even look up when I enter. Our bed would fit perfectly here, he says, gesturing to the space where my bed, the first new mattress I've ever owned, currently sits. We'd need to move your stuff out, of course. From my home office, Jessica's voice rises. Kids, come explore your new playroom. My desk where I rebuilt my career, where I worked countless late nights to afford this house is now being circled by sticky fingers. I retreat to the living room, my sanctuary violated from all angles. Family converges there minutes later, arranged on my furniture like they're settling in for a board meeting. Dad takes my armchair seat of authority. Mom perches on the couch's edge, Brian and Jessica flank her, and the children sprawl on my plush area rug. We've been discussing what makes the most sense, Dad begins, using the same authoritative tone he employed when announcing family decisions throughout my childhood. Brian leans forward, elbows on knees. His words flow with rehearsed precision. When you think about it logically, Nicole, this is about family needs versus individual wants. You're just one person with a whole house. I remain standing, arms crossed over my chest, a strange calm settling over me despite the hurricane of entitlement swirling through my living room. What we're suggesting, Brian continues, is that you move back to the RV. He gestures vaguely toward the window, where my RV, a weekend camping vehicle, rather than my desperate shelter, sits in my driveway. You were fine there before, and this way we can all benefit. My silence is mistaken for consideration. Their eyes light up with victory, already dividing my hard-earned space in their minds. I'm pregnant again, Jessica announces suddenly, her hand moving dramatically to her still flat stomach. Tears spring to her eyes on cue. 4 children in that tiny apartment just isn't possible. Mom reaches for my hand, which I don't offer. Honey, as Christians, we have a duty to family. Your nieces and nephews need stability. Dad nods, shifting to the financial angle. We'll take over your mortgage payments. It makes perfect sense. They stare at me with expectant faces, so certain of my compliance that they've already mentally moved in. These people who laughed at my homelessness now want to claim the home I built from nothing. I move to the front door and pull it open wide, the morning light spilling across the entryway. Get out, I say quietly. Their faces register confusion before morphing into disbelief. They don't move. You can't be serious, Brian scoffs, after everything we've done for you. What have you done except leave me homeless during a pandemic? My voice remains steady, surprising even me. This is my house. I earned it. I want you all to leave right now. Nicole Marie. Dad stands, using my middle name like a weapon. You're being ridiculous. We're family. Family doesn't try to take what someone else has built. I don't raise my voice. I don't need to. You have 30 seconds to gather your things and leave, or I call the police. They exchange glances, testing my resolve with each passing second. Jessica begins to cry. Mom attempts one more guilt-laden plea. Dad's face darkens with anger. But I don't waver. I stand by my open door, one hand on the knob, the other holding my phone, thumb hovering over the emergency call button. They rise gradually, disbelief giving way to resentment as they collect their scattered belongings. Each passes me on their way out, Jessica's shoulder deliberately bumping mine, Dad's glare burning into my face. As the last one crosses the threshold, I speak the words that have been forming inside me since that day in their driveway 2 years ago. Don't come back, ever. I close the door on their protests and slide the deadbolt home with a decisive click. My key won't turn in the lock. I stand frozen on my own front porch, staring at the silver key stuck halfway in the deadbolt, while a U-Haul truck squats in my driveway like an uninvited guest. The late afternoon sun catches on something shiny through my living room window, a picture frame that wasn't there this morning. No, I whisper. The word a prayer and curse combined. I jiggle the key harder, twist until my wrist aches. Something's wrong with the mechanism or the key itself. The doorbell I installed last week now looks different, newer. The door swings open before I can process what's happening. Brian fills the doorway, his bulky frame blocking my view inside. His face holds that smug half smile I've known since childhood, the one that appears when he's gotten away with something. We decided not to wait. He steps aside with a theatrical sweep of his arm. My living room has transformed. Their oversized sectional dominates the space where my modest love seat once stood. Jessica's garish decorative pillows burst with color against the brown upholstery. A flat-screen television I don't recognize hangs on my wall, while toys I've never seen litter my hardwood floors. What have you done? The question comes out steady, though my pulse hammers in my throat. We're moving in. Brian jingles a set of Keys Me house keys, but they look different, freshly cut. You can have one if you want to visit. I push past him, my shoulder catching his arm with enough force to make him step back. The dining room table I assembled myself is gone, replaced by their scratched oak monstrosity. Children's jackets hang from my coat rack. Where are my things? I demand, moving through my house that no longer contains evidence of me. Garage. Jessica calls from the kitchen. She stands at my sink, washing dishes I don't recognize, her pregnant belly protruding beneath a floral top. We needed the space. You have so much for just one person. I move toward the back of the house, on legs that feel disconnected from my body. The door to the garage reveals the answer. My life piled in haphazard stacks. My couch crammed against the wall, table legs sticking out at odd angles. Books spilling from hastily packed boxes, their spines bent. You broke into my house. The words taste metallic. Not broke in, Brian corrects, following close behind. Dad talked to his lawyer friend. It's legally fine when it's family. I turn slowly, taking in details I missed before. The back window beside the kitchen shattered, with plastic taped over it. Fresh scratches around the front door lock. The family photos they've already mounted on my walls, as if claiming territory. You literally broke my window to get in. I point to the plastic-covered damage. We needed to get started while you were at work, Jessica says, appearing from the kitchen. You weren't being reasonable about the timeline. Timeline? This is my house. My name is on the deed. I never agreed to anything. We knew you'd come around eventually, Brian says, his voice dropping to that conciliatory tone he uses when he wants something. Family helps family, and we need this place more than you do. You're being selfish, Jessica adds, one hand on her stomach. Your brother has a family to think about, and you're hoarding all this space for yourself. Their certainty stuns me. The absolute conviction that they're entitled to take what's mine, that I should happily surrender everything I've worked for. You can have the guest room, Brian offers magnanimously, until you find something else. I don't answer. Instead, I walk straight out the front door and cross the lawn to my neighbor's house Tom, the retired police officer who helped me install my security system last month. My legs move with purpose while my mind catalogs every detail, every violation. Tom's concerned face appears when he opens his door. Nicole, everything okay? I need to use your phone to call the police. My family broke into my house and changed the locks. 20 minutes later, 2 patrol cars park in front of my house. Brian meets the officers on the porch, his stance casual, confident. It's a family misunderstanding, he explains, voice carrying across the yard where I stand with the officers. My sister verbally agreed to rent to us. We just moved in a little earlier than planned. Do you have a rental agreement? The older officer asks. It's family, Brian repeats, as if that explains everything. We don't need paperwork between family. Ma'am? The younger officer turns to me. Do you have proof of ownership? I pull out my phone, open my files app. I have the deed, mortgage statements, insurance policy all in my name only. I swipe through digital copies of everything, prepared for this moment in a way I never consciously expected. The transformation is swift after that. The officer's sympathetic nods to Brian turn to firm instructions. Jessica appears in the doorway, children clinging to her legs, and collapses into theatrical sobs when she hears they must leave immediately. We have nowhere to go, she wails, tears appearing on command. You had somewhere to go this morning, I say quietly, before you decided to break into my house. The officers escort them through my home as they collect personal items. Brian's face hardens as they confiscate my new house keys from him. Would you like to press charges, ma'am? The older officer asks. I look at my brother's flushed face, my sister in Law's mascara-streaked cheeks, the confused expressions of their children. For a moment, I see the 8-year-old boy who once made me Valentine's cards, before he learned I was worth less than him. Not if they leave now and never come back. Under police supervision, they load their personal belongings back into the U-Haul furniture remains for another day. I stand in my driveway, arms crossed, as Brian slams the truck door and starts the engine. His eyes meet mine through the open window. This isn't over. Yes, I say clearly. It is. I watch until the truck disappears around the corner, then turn to face my violated home. The locks will need changing again. Windows repaired. Security upgraded. But they're gone. And this time, I know exactly what they're capable of. My phone buzzes at 3:17 a.m. I jolt awake, heart hammering against my ribs before I remember. It's just the security alert. The new system I installed the day after Brian's break-in has been the best money I've ever spent. 6 cameras, motion sensors at every entry point, and instant notifications to my phone and the security company. I grabbed my phone, expecting another neighborhood cat triggering the motion sensors. Instead, the crystal clear night vision footage shows 2 familiar figures approaching my front door. Dad's shoulders are hunched as he glances over his shoulder. Brian stands beside him, arm cocked back, something clutched in his fist. The first egg hits my door with a wet crack. The second splatters against my front window. They work methodically, moving from the porch to the garage door to the living room windows. "This is what you get," Brian hisses, voice perfectly captured by the high-end microphone system. "Think you're better than us now?" Dad adds his own ammunition to the assault. Ungrateful bit. The words die in his throat as the security light suddenly floods the yard. I watch their faces transform from smug satisfaction to stunned realization as they notice the camera mounted above the door. Dad's mouth forms a perfect O. Brian's eyes widen and narrow. "Fuck," he whispers. "She's got cameras." I almost laugh at how quickly they scramble back to their cars, slipping on the wet grass in their haste. I document everything methodically in the morning, photographing each splatter, noting the timestamps from the footage, adding it to the expanding file I've kept since the break-in. The restraining order papers sit ready on my desk, filled out days ago after Officer Martinez suggested it might be necessary. When I walk into the police station with my flash drive and detailed damage report, Officer Martinez greets me with recognition. "Another visit to the Winters residence?" she asks after viewing the footage. "Last one, I promise." 2 weeks later, my cousin Elaine texts me. "Holy shit. Police showed up at Thanksgiving dinner to serve Dad and Brian. Aunt Karen nearly fainted. Everyone knows everything now. Jessica's mom won't even speak to them anymore." I don't respond immediately. I'm busy hanging string lights around my patio for tonight's housewarming me. Real housewarming, not the hurried settling in after their invasion. My phone pings with an email from work. The promotion I've been angling for has been approved. Senior Systems Architect. The validation feels good, but not as good as the peace that surrounds me now. "This looks amazing," Melissa says, carrying out a tray of appetizers. "I can't believe how much you've done with the place." I smile, remembering how she let me park my RV at her place when I had nowhere else to go. That same RV now sits proudly in my driveway, no longer a symbol of desperation, but of resilience. "I heard Brian and Jessica had to rent that apartment over on Maple," says Rob, my next-door neighbor who keeps an extra eye on my property. "Guess your parents finally stopped bankrolling them." "Mom at church says your parents haven't shown their faces there in weeks," adds Tina, another neighbor who'd witnessed the police escorting my family out. Word travels. The doorbell rings, and Jasmine Arrives, a young woman facing housing insecurity, whom I've been mentoring through the community center. She reminds me of myself a year ago. "I got approved for that studio apartment," she tells me excitedly. "Your budget spreadsheet worked." As my chosen family gathers in the living room, glasses raised in a toast, I realize I haven't thought about my biological family in weeks. The restraining order ensures I'll never have to. "To Nicole," Melissa says, "who taught us all what real strength looks like." The space my family once occupied in my mind has filled with something better: peace.